Hello guys, and welcome to a new Wargame video today by me, Vulcan and Val.
Hello.
Today we have the last round of the lower bracket in the 3v3 Reddit tournament, and today we're going to be seeing Crna Buksna against the refugees. So, what are your thoughts to begin with, Val?
I'm personally very excited because this is, I believe, the first time we've seen this map in the games we've casted, and honestly, I never expected this map to come through. Unless I'm being completely forgetful and we've already casted, but I don't think so. So I'm really excited to see what these teams pull out. Crna and the refugees have both proven to be good teams in the past, and it's all to play for, really.
Yeah, so today we're going to be seeing straight to the point. And over on the blue side today, we do have Crna Buksna with Razman, Firestarter, and Dirty D. And over on the red side, we have Barry Dillon, Future Pro, and Austrian Oak from the refugees. So, what sort of decks are we going to be looking at today?
So let's go and start over on the blue side with Crna Buksna. So we have Razman with a Blue Dragons deck. You've got Dirty D with a motorized NATO deck, which is quite an interesting choice. And Firestarter with a NATO full armor deck, which we've seen a few times, I think, and he seems to be quite fond of. So move over to the red side now with the refugees. So we have Austrian Oak with a Soviet deck, Future Pro with another Soviet deck, and Barry Dillon with a Eastern Bloc motorized deck.
Awesome. So yeah, we did misidentify the deck in one of the last videos we did with the refugees. Barry Dillon has been using this Eastern Bloc motorized deck before, but he's definitely preferring his helicopters, as you can see already at the start of the game.
Nothing has changed.
Yeah, he's placing down Mi-17s, the DHS Mi-24Ps, which are good helicopters. They do come with those infrared missiles to take on other helicopters, so that's always good. But I'm still not convinced by the airborne starts, although on this map in particular, we've got to remember there are very large expanses of water which will allow for flanking attacks from those helicopters.
Well, I think you're right. This is definitely, lots of the other maps we've casted, I really don't like that kind of heli start. I just think it's not quite that strong. But then this map is kind of the perfect map where a deck like that would really, really work out. So I think they're going to try and take Lima off the bat with his heli forces, or perhaps maybe they'll be a little more reserved than that. But I mean, that's what I see quite a lot of people doing when they play this map, and it seems to work out reasonably well.
Yeah, so over on the blue side, we're starting to see a lot of the units come down. We got the Kaimaru Shiki coming out at the start from Firestarter. Very awesome tank, probably one of the best NATO or Blue 4 tanks. Then we got the Hachi Nanashikis, of course, from Razman. And we've got the Kai Roku WAPCs, and I'm starting to think that a lot of the blue side forces are going to be very good on this map, like going towards the center, because if you have those Kaimarus like firing across the water, that's going to be like doing a lot of damage. And also those APCs, like the WAPCs, are just really good. But also we've got to remember on the red side we do have the BTR-90s, which will have those grenade launchers as fire support. And also they're just very good with the BMP-3s, which can fire at long range with those ATGMs.
Well, I think this map really comes down to how it's played, because in the event this becomes kind of an infantry slog, most times Blue 4 wins that, just because Blue 4 has access to a lot more cost-effective infantry, so Jaeger spam. Whereas Red 4 is really known for their ATGMs, so they're very good at controlling more open spaces. So if we see lots of fighting in the forested areas of Delta and Echo, then I feel that the blue side will have a slight advantage here. But of course, that doesn't really mean anything, and depending on how the teams play, anything could happen. So
yeah,
quite exciting.
So what sort of strategies? Like, I'm thinking maybe Barry Dillon will go for like a helicopter push over to maybe like Lima or something like that. Maybe go over to the other side towards India. There are a lot of conquest points on this map, so lots of ways in which you can sort of flank, and especially with a lot of helicopters, it's going to make them easy to get around the side. I don't think we're going to see the red side get across the river, which might make it easier for the blue side to contest Delta, as opposed to like the red side getting into Echo and contesting that. So we'll have to see, because often like the red side does actually have quite a hard time on this map, I feel.
To an extent, yeah. I mean, we see Barry Dillon, like you mentioned, the heli push into Lima. I mean, that's what I'd expect personally, but I think the blue team, look at the amount of helis that AD has there, he's prepared for that. So maybe they're going to try and fake them out a little bit and then go for the heli rush into Alpha, because there is a little landing zone where Barry Dillon's put that attack marker on that island, and you can easily put a CV into there to contest that, which is quite interesting.
Yeah, we can see Dirty D actually moving those Celtics over water so that they start in the air as opposed to on the ground. And that's something that's actually quite good to note if you're ever playing with helicopters at the start of a match. Always place them over buildings, over water, over trees, so that they don't start landed. It wastes a lot of time for them to take off at the start of a game. So just bear that in mind. And
mountains as well.
Yeah, also mountains. Barry Dillon, as you can see, all of his helicopters are actually on the ground at the moment. So his forces are going to take considerably longer to get to where he wants them to go, as opposed to where Dirty D's are, which might give Dirty D the advantage in this helicopter engagement.
Maybe, but I'm kind of convinced that Dirty D he's going to send all his healers to Lima. They're all poised to go to Lima. And I think if Barry Dillon does go to Alpha like he's marked, that will be kind of a bit of a nice fake out for the red team. They might really get a little bit of an advantage there. But I'm definitely interested to see how this plays out. It's going to be probably very bloody around Echo and Delta. Although if the refugees do this push into Alpha correctly, then this game could be over quite fast actually. If they can do that and hold it.
Yeah, if they actually go to Alpha, that's quite an easy place to defend if you get some maybe Gornostrelki into those town sectors there, because there's only one bridge that allows vehicles to go over to Alpha, and the rest of it is just surrounded by water, so it's incredibly hard to attack if you actually get a significant force into Alpha. The only trouble is that Alpha is incredibly overextended for the red side to get to. But either way, the game is underway, and this is, of course, the first game of the best of three. And after this best of three, whoever wins will be going on to the final, so there is all to play for as we head off into this game.
Yep, we see a PU come out from Future Pro on the right-hand side, which is quite an expensive start. No ASFs or bombers coming out from the blue team. Or as I say that, an F-104J Ryu, which is quite a nice, cheap kind of air detection plane. It's not very good against other planes, but I think we will see that getting shot down by the PU, unfortunately.
Yeah, so it basically has good air detection, allows it to maybe find some helicopters, but the SU-27PU having no trouble with shooting that down. Also manages to pick off a Celtic, but goes down to the Ninja and the other Celtic that was nearby, and that is a very expensive aircraft to lose at the start of the game. But let's see Barry Dillon's push coming in now. Lots of DHS Mi-24Ps crossing the water here, and he is not going to meet much resistance, only the Ninja really. So if he just continues to push straight away, he might be able to get away with this, although we do see Razman with a HMV and some infrared infantry. He's got a few of those squads heading towards Alpha now, so if he manages to get those into the compounds quickly, he might be able to shoot down more than a few helicopters.
I think he will be, although it seems like his fake out really did work, and I think he really read that, because everyone knows in this tournament that Barry Dillon starts with helis. That's what he's done pretty much every single game, and so it's kind of nice for him to kind of use that to his advantage, really, because obviously people would expect you to go for Lima. Because all in all, despite the points value, Lima is the more valuable sector because it's a spawn sector. But by doing this, by getting his CV into here, because it's so incredibly hard for the enemy to actually cross, like even if they do take the town back in Alpha, which they probably will do eventually, crossing over to where that CV is can be quite difficult. So a really nice little play here to give them a quick advantage.
Yeah, he's already got the command unit into Alpha, which is going to give them an immediate advantage in conquest points. This is very well played by Barry Dillon. He managed to use those Mi-24s to actually destroy one of the chaparrals, and he's also managed to kill one of the squads of the P-Sound, which allowed his helicopters to survive a lot longer than they probably should have. And now he's still got this Mi-17, which might be able to take care of the rest. That's if the Ki-29 doesn't do it first, but either way, it looks like Razman has kind of avoided Alpha for now. The Kim Sam closed arrow is just going to start cleaning up the rest of the helicopters there. But in Echo, we do see a large amount of forces, and this is definitely just going to cut off the reinforcements entirely to Alpha for now. It looks like Barry Dillon will have to rely more on the Mi-17s again, but if any more anti-air comes in, then he's going to have a hard time reinforcing that. Austrian Oak got some Gornostrauki into the far side of Delta, which is really nice. Those Gornostrauki are going to start being able to pick off those APCs if they actually land their HGMs, because at the moment those Gornostrauki are taking a lot of damage. Buratino coming across now though.
They are. This is quite formidable defensive line really from Austrian Oak. He's got these, like you said, the Gornos are super good against all kinds of tanks. On the top side in Echo, this some nice use of the T64BM from Future Pro, but I feel that this unfortunately might not be able to push all the way through with that EV group RBS 56 there, which has absolutely mammoth 26 AP ATGM.
Yeah, this is a bit of a strange push. He didn't like push first with his infantry, which I think is quite a poor mistake, or maybe just the fact that he didn't have the BTRDs in front, and that's just allowed all of his units to be picked off before the fight even started. Hachi Nadashiki's just been sat there picking off APCs. The Kai Marashiki's been picking off any heavy targets alongside the RBS-56, so that push was absolutely futile. Now the SU-24 coming in is going to get shot down, and the RBS-56 squad didn't even die. So things are not looking good now for the refugees after their pretty good start, although conquest points well in their favour. Definitely well in their favour.
You can see Razman trying to recapture Alpha with his Tukiesa, I'll go with that, with some support from Hachinana's an F1 and some Kyoroku WAPCs here. It looks like he's going to move that straight across towards the CV there, and he might get it unless Barry Dillon has some helis to send them, but still the red side has managed to eke out an advantage here at the start.
Yeah, with Alpha being cut off really from any reinforcements, it's actually going to make it pretty easy for Razman to start picking up the rest of these units. And it's a really good job by Razman to read that the command unit would be on that far island. That command unit can't take out the APC, so that Browning machine gun will just slowly kill off that squad.
That's unless the MiG-29S comes in and takes it out, which I believe it will do if the bombs land, but has to be careful. Danger close on a CV is a danger close you don't really want.
Oh, lovely strike there. Just put that in the right place so that it didn't damage his command unit, although Barry Dillon probably could have moved the command unit prematurely just to avoid that in case. But either way, we can see more units coming in the centre now and just being picked off again by these RBS-56 HGMs. It's just not looking good. Dirty D and Firestarter making a push onto Austrian Oak's Gornostrauki now. The NM135s there with the fire support of the 20mm autocannons are doing a lot of damage. And this Gouvernement, very good cost-efficient units with those MG3s, can do a lot of damage to these squads. And if they get into the compound, they are going to be very hard to deal with.
They are. I mean, this is the point when the red team really needs to move forward that Mi-8TB and the K-29B and bring in a bomber, because you know this infantry is otherwise just going to get pushed out. And honestly, they don't have anything on the other side of Delta. It's quite a scary prospect at the moment. Yeah,
MiG-29 is coming in to maybe drop some bombs onto that infantry. But if we look at Alpha now, really nice composition coming out of Razman with the Kairoku WAPCs, the M67 hand squads there, and a couple of Gouvernement from Firestarter. He's going to basically clean out these LSTR pretty simply, although it is interesting to see Barry Dillon reinforcing his command unit there with a couple of Conquer squads. And those Conquers, they're not going to be the most useful units. He probably needs some anti-air there, to be honest.
I think so. I mean, I don't really like that he's using the Conquer's M's and his Mi-40s. That's 40 points worth, and it's just a bit of a large investment. I mean, that can get taken out with one bomber if they're not careful. So, I mean, he's definitely. I think trying to defend the CV is a good idea, because the longer he can keep that in play, the longer their advantage will stand. But Still, maybe a little expensive.
Yeah, now we see Dirty D moving over the river at Delta with 4 XA186NOs, and there is literally nothing to defend that at the moment. And a couple of Hachi Nanashikis going over there, which will be able to deal with any APCs and more armoured targets. This XA with the infrared infantry might be able to help deal with the MI-17s if that Mistral squad isn't targeted quick enough, and the Su-24M coming in there might be able to do a nice amount of damage to these Government.
Ooh.
Yeah, that was a nice chunk there. Very good strike, well predicted, and the Su-24M did get out alive, I believe.
I believe it did. A very good strike, although I do have to question the amount of artillery that's sitting in this backline here. I mean, I do like these BM-24Ms. They're kind of nice little cheap suppression napalm launchers, basically. But they're 50 points each, and there's 3 50-point Nonas, so that's 300 points that they could have had as infantry. Because now Dirty D's just sending these XA 186 NOs just all the way through to Charlie.
Yeah, and those squads only costing 20 points apiece. So there again, the cost efficiency of those units is paying off, although it looks like a couple of VDV-90 are going to cut off the advance of those squads unless the VDV-90 do get panicked, which might allow the Government to get an advantage in that engagement. But fortunately some reinforcements from Austrian Oak with the BTRDs coming in there to save the day, and it looks like Austrian Oak's command unit did get away in Delta from the advancing Hachi Nanashikis, although not for long, as the Hachi Nanashikis are ripping apart infantry squads and helicopters all the same.
And these Hachis and have for quite a while been just a premier kind of blue for fire support. Unfortunately, they have run out of ammo though, which is always a problem with the Hachis. They have a kind of meagerly low ammo count for the rate of fire they have, so they're just sitting ducks really at the moment. But they bought enough time for more troops to come across from the blue team.
What I'm interested to see is the fact that there's still a +2 lead from the refugees, and that's because there is no command unit in Kilo at the moment for the blue side, so they're still bleeding points. And if the red side can now get a defense going on their side of the river, they can basically cancel out the income from both sides for the rest of the game and win out just from the fact they already have 376 command points, which is pretty significant. And it's going to take a long time for Razman and Firestarter to get that back, although this push is unrelenting at the moment in the centre.
It really is. It's been a nice push, although I do have to question why they haven't moved their CV from Echo into Kilo. I mean, they're now bringing one in a Lynx to Kilo, but I think that might have been a little bit handier earlier on just to reduce the points bleed. But like you said, we have a nice push coming in from Dirty D on this right hand side. These XA186 NOs I'd like to bring attention to because they're absolutely fantastic. They have 3 front armour and 3 side armour, which I believe is the highest of any transport in the game that I can think of. Well, apart from kind of infantry fighting vehicles and APCs, but these really nice little fast motorised units.
Yeah, the Buratino coming in there doing a lot of damage to Dirty D's units now, although there is 4 squads of Eric's on the bottom side of that town there, which were doing a lot of damage to the Moat Shoots and 90 when they were revealing themselves. Earlier we did see an Su-27 PU shoot down a K1 and a Tornado F2 across the map, so that was pretty good. So some more damage done there to the Blue 4 Air Force. But now the +1 lead coming in for the blue side. So they are going to finally start getting their hands on some conquest points. Kari Marishiki has crossed the river from Firestarter, so he's going to be using that to pick off APCs with its glorious 12 round per minute rate of fire, which is just incredible. I think that's possibly the best for the super heavies in the entire game.
I believe the Leclerc matches. I can't remember whether the Leclerc is 15 or 12. I think it's 12, but yep, definitely a brilliant tank. Probably the only real limitation being it has quite a low autonomy, but other than that, it's a really excellent tank, and it's what makes Blue 4 Armoured such a good deck at the moment.
Yeah, so we have a contesting command tank out of Firestarter, which is going to hold Delta for them, and once they get rid of this command unit, then they will hold Delta completely, which will give them the +2 lead in conquest points, and they will start to bring back a lead in this game eventually. But that might not even matter, because they are just making so much ground that at any point they could just break through and just take out as many command units as they wanted. Like at the moment, Gulf is incredibly vulnerable. Imagine if a random helicopter was sent across to there just to check it out. That would be very bad news for the refugees. But either way, they are focusing on getting Delta back at the moment. They do have significant reinforcements coming in the form of these Spetsnaz. We've got the BTR-90s probably with Spetsnaz GRU, and BTR-Ds with VDV-90s. So definitely got some quality units there to maybe start fighting back.
They do. I think the blue team really has to make sure they consolidate this hold in Delta at the moment, because, like you said, there is a really significant amount of Red 4 troops coming in, and there just really isn't enough left on the Red 4 side of the river to hold that. I mean, there was the possibility a couple of minutes ago of them pushing all the way to Charlie, but it's just kind of petered out a bit. They've just been left with just one Kyomarashiki with no rounds and some panicked Gavermen.
Yeah, and those Gavermen are going to be slowly napalmed out by these BM-24Ms. They now have, what, 4 or 5 of those? That's pretty insane. They also have the MFRW BM-24, which is, again, another napalm artillery unit, but from the East Germans, so making crazy use of those. It's not often you see so many napalm artillery units in one game, but that's their unit of choice in this one. And Barry Dillon's following up all that napalm with a couple of SPW-80s, and the infantry in those will be able to clean out the Gevarmen if they get into those compounds.
If they're not burnt alive by their own napalm first. There's 6 napalm launchers there. That's probably the highest I think I've ever seen in a game. Obviously he must be a big fan of these, because he's brought in so many of them, and they seem to have been reasonably effective so far.
Yeah, Barry Dillon stopped on the outskirts of all that napalm, and now he's unloaded the Moat-Schutzen to get into the compound. He's managed to get these VDV-90 and Spetsnaz GRU quite far up, but they're sort of amongst some napalm as well, so they don't have much room for movement. The Kyomarashiki making a retreat across the river so that Firestarter does not lose that. But now a push coming in on the other side from Echo. We've got some Gevarmen from Firestarter heading towards that VDV squad on the left, and with this artillery coming in all the way from spawn, the M270 LRM, that's doing quite a lot of damage to those VDV squads. And with another couple direct hits, that's going to give the Gevarmen an easy time in that sector.
Well, not just the Gevarmen, but we have quite a few very heavy tanks. We've got a Kima and 2 K1s from the blue team up in this Echo towards Delta push. The red team just doesn't have anything to answer that. They, I mean, they have VDV, but nothing else with ammunition that could kill a tank of that weight, really. Yeah,
so again, more artillery coming in onto those 2 compounds. VDV down to 2 men already, and we see the Tunguska trying to make a retreat there as well. Over on this right side, FSK coming in from Dirty D, definitely going to outclass the Moat-Schutzen, and meanwhile the XA-186NOs with that very large amount of armor will be able to distract those other squads, the Spetsnaz GRU and the VDV-90 there.
Yeah, I'm such a big fan of these FSK. They're really are just one of the best infantry units in the game. They've got the MG3, they're elite, they have the Eric's missile, you know, what more do you want in a unit? Maybe if there were 50 men, maybe then.
Yeah.
But probably, I'd say, probably the best Blue Force Special Forces that's really available.
Oh, look at this sneaky move from Austrian Oak. Managed to get a command infantry squad into Alpha, which has turned the tide back into the refugees' favour, and they are now at a +1 lead with 420 on the map. That is pretty insane. Oh wow, that is an awesome hit. The Smirch coming in and taking out the Leopard in Delta that was capturing that, and now a +2 lead for the refugees. That was an incredibly important move there, as it's just going to allow the refugees to extend their lead whilst they are starting to bring back the fight on their side of the river. They're stopping the pushes coming out of Firestarter and Dirty D, and it's just basically getting much better for the refugees now. They've managed to fend off the big push, and they basically just need to hold on, and they can probably win out on this game.
I think they can do, yeah. There is a CV from Dirty D coming in to neutralise Delta, but oh, and as we say that, the CV in Alpha unfortunately gets taken out as well. But I really do think that this game will probably go in the red team's favour. They have such a big lead. Although then, that being said, there is a significant force that's pushed through from Echo.
Yeah, it's like we've kind of cursed it. Cursed is cursed.
Cast the curse.
It's not looking good again now, in the centre at least, for the red side. They had their command unit taken out of Delta and the command unit taken out of Alpha, but Barry Dillon's going for a very large push here on the left side with lots of MI-17s, MI-25 S-24, but a couple of PSAM squads there are going to be able to shoot down a lot of those helicopters, and I think the Ninja's going to have some fun there as well, so it looks like a lot of this push will just fall flat, and they won't get much out of that. Yeah, Barry Dillon already hesitating with a lot of those helicopters, and that means these MI-17s aren't going to get very far at all.
That's just really unfortunate, because that was a kind of a very... Actually, saying that, that MI-17 is about to discover this Bamboo command.
Yeah, but it's going to be too close, isn't it, to fire? It's only going to be able to use its machine gun, the 122mm rockets. It's too close for them to use those to fire.
That might be, but they do know where it is now, so we might see a bomber coming in then anytime soon. Although, that being said, I think they might be more interested in actually stopping this horrendously brutal push that's coming in through Delta into their side of the river at Charlie, which is a big concern.
The blue side's got complete control of the far side of Delta now, and that's just going to make things really hard for the red side to bring back. They've brought up a few tanks now, the T-72A and the T-80U there, but they're just going to get overwhelmed by these XA-186s from Dirty D on that left side, and if he can get those infantry units into those compounds, that bridge is pretty much useless to the red side. And even so, the KFB 4050s from Razman are now chasing down some BM-24Ms in Charlie, so things being brought back really well by the blue side, although another command unit is about to land in Alpha. And if it does,
this is really,
then that's going to give a +2 lead to the refugees again.
This is one of those times when you really need to do like a desperation play, because even though the lead was in the refugees' favour, if this game goes on too long, I think the blue team will just win. They have way too much on this side of the river, assuming that a small miracle doesn't happen with these helicopters. So if the red team can hold Alpha for long enough, they can win the game. They're close enough to do that.
Yeah, well, the infantry squad that was capturing Alpha was actually taken out, so the blue side lost control of that completely, and that's given Barry Dillon the chance to recapture Alpha, and this Fighting Falcon is going to miss its 1,000 kilogram bombs. Now these Mi-24Ws from Barry Dillon in the top side that just came from Bravo, these are a really good response to this attack. Although, I was going to say because the anti-air was being left behind from Firestarter, but he's only just moved it up. So he's kind of rectified that mistake, although this Buratino getting dangerously close to killing off the command infantry squad owned by Dirty D in Delta, and the last Buratino hit did not land on the squad, so that was lucky. But still, the +2 lead for the refugees, and if the command unit doesn't get to Alpha quick enough, then the refugees are looking at a win here.
I think they are. This is this has been a great game so far, actually, because it just goes to show that even if you're kind of quote unquote losing in the sort of main engagements, so in this case Echo and Delta, if you can pull off some interesting, some little cheeky strategies, you can really make a difference, and I think we'll see the refugees take the win here if this AH-1J doesn't... Oh yeah, I think it's going to get shot down.
Oh, with 1 health left, Barry Dillon's command unit survives, and with 2 more ticks, the refugees are going to win the game. And this is insane. Wonderfully played by the refugees in order to take the first game of the best of 3 against Crna Buksna. Now, I don't think either of us saw that coming.
I really didn't. I mean, when I saw those helicopters, I was kind of like, I was a bit apprehensive because Barry Dillon in the past has had some. I mean, he's had some good games with them. He's had some not so good games with his helicopters where they just haven't had a bit of an impact. But I'd go as far to say as Barry Dillon pretty much won that game for them there with that really cheeky play into alpha, and just a great job of reading the enemy reaction. You know, they know that he's a player who loves to start with helicopters, and most people would think he's going to attack Lima with helicopters, but instead he took them to alpha, which was pretty genius actually. A really really nice strategy to see.
Yeah, it definitely worked out for them. And if there was any map to do a helicopter strategy on, then this would probably be it, because of the choke in the middle that really stops the capacity of ground forces to push the whole way through as quickly. So, yeah, really, really well played by the refugees, and it didn't look good for them at points. Like, Dirty D and Firestarter were definitely getting the better of Austrian Oak and Future Pro in the middle for a lot of the game, but just the fact that Barry Dillon was being that annoyance on the side meant that a lot of the resources that would have been used to push the whole way through had to be diverted to stop the conquest points coming out of Alpha. So very well done to the refugees in this one. Anything else you'd like to say?
I'm looking forward to game 2, because if this game's anything to go by, we're in for a really, really, really entertaining series.
Yeah, so that's about it for this game, guys. We are going to be moving on to the second game of the best of 3 between Crna Buksna and the refugees. But for now, that's all. So hopefully you've enjoyed it. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you in the next video. Goodbye.
Bye.